During the dead of night, a targeted operation by the Israeli army was carried out in the southern Gaza region, with the purpose of mapping buildings and clearing explosive devices. Despite repeated calls from the Israel Defense Forces urging Gazans to move south, attacks continued to hit that particular area. Raid Matar, who fled from the northern tip of Gaza at the start of the conflict and sought refuge in an educational center, said he heard explosions during the aerial bombardments. One incident occurred when an aircraft belonging to the Israel Defense Forces collided with an ambulance allegedly linked to use by a Hamas terrorist cell near their positions within the conflict area. In addition to this, several Hamas fighters lost their lives in this war incident. The purpose of these actions was the identification of underground tunnels and homes used by the militants as operations centers. From the beginning to the conclusion of the operation, the Israeli soldiers achieved their goal. Infantry forces along with Israeli army tanks were met with resistance from Hamas militants, who emerged from an intricate network of tunnels with the intention of ambushing Israeli soldiers. During the raid on the tunnels in Gaza, soldiers managed to neutralize several militants. To dismantle Hamas tunnels and counter terrorists, Israeli forces used robots and various explosives. Israeli media reports indicated the start of large-scale operations to clear tunnels in areas of the Gaza Strip currently under the control of the Israeli Defense Forces. A high-ranking officer of the Southern Command told the media, "Perhaps at first accusations could have been made, shooting at us from the tunnel exits, but once we secured control of the areas, the engineering operations phase began. Our objective is to cancel the entrances and the tunnels located above them. This area will become a critical zone. They made a mistake by selecting a place from which they will not be able to escape. In the tunnels, they will find their final destination." It has been reported that Israeli forces have managed to destroy approximately 100 tunnels since the start of the ground operation, not including those that were closed due to airstrikes. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant commented, "Soldiers report what they witness. In each place they explore, soldiers observe terrorists emerging from tunnel passages, underground structures located beneath buildings, hospitals, and even schools." Giora Eiland, former Israeli general and national security advisor, highlighted that Israel has managed to establish a relatively effective separation between the northern and southern sectors of Gaza, which has allowed its forces to continue the siege of Hamas. Additionally, he added that Israeli troops are focused on locating access to the complex network of tunnels used by Hamas militants, attempting to neutralize them while they remain underground. This approach seeks to maintain a tight siege around Gaza City. It is crucial for Israel to eliminate the tunnels that cross from north to south, which could represent a vital resource for Hamas. To this end, Israel has been carrying out constant efforts, working incessantly day and night to neutralize individual militants with the aim of destroying these tunnels and hindering Hamas's strategic resources. In this context, an intriguing development has emerged. According to sources close to the Hamas leadership, they are preparing for a prolonged conflict in the Gaza Strip and maintain the belief that they can resist Israel's advance for a considerable time, which could lead to an eventual negotiation of a ceasefire. These sources say Hamas has stockpiled weapons, rockets, food, and medical supplies, confident that thousands of fighters could survive for months in a city of tunnels dug deep in the Palestinian territories. Accordingly, Hamas holds the belief that as casualties mount and international pressure on Israel intensifies to end the blockade, they could induce a ceasefire. Hamas officials and White House sources have said the group has made clear to both the United States and Israel its intention to negotiate the release of prisoners in exchange for long-term hostages. Experts such as Marwan al-Masri, former Minister of Foreign Affairs and former Prime Minister of Jordan, who currently collaborates in Carnegie Endowment for International Peace in Washington, have noted that there is no simple military solution to eradicating Hamas. They warn that this conflict will not have a quick resolution. Arab ministers have expressed their call for an end to the conflict and have condemned the war strategies used by Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken held meetings with leaders in Jordan and has reaffirmed U.S. support for Israel, although he has advocated for a humanitarian pause to facilitate the delivery of aid to the Palestinian people at a critical time, marked by the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. However, he warned of the possibility that a ceasefire could backfire and potentially fuel more violence by the militant group. These leaders have discussed providing assistance to Gaza and improving the delivery of aid to the besieged territory. A discrepancy was evident in the messages transmitted. At the same time, Israeli military leaders guided a small group of journalists to northern Gaza, showcasing the progress made in that region. Lieutenant Colonel Ido Ben Anat, an Israeli officer who was with the journalists, projected a sense of security by stating that Hamas had been defeated in that area. However, as the journalists entered Gaza through a gap in the wall, they faced tangible threats. A mortar landed near the armored vehicle transporting them, followed by the detonation of a roadside bomb, causing which generated a brief explosion of fire. The journalists perceived the seriousness of the situation, understanding the reality that many face daily in that region. Israel is under pressure to recognize and address this difficult situation, and it remains to be seen whether this pressure will push Israel towards some kind of agreement. I appreciate your attention and remain available for any further questions.